Into Gate. This is episode 163. We're talking Stargate Atlantis, season 1, episode 6. My name is Mitch. Joining me, the Get Into Gate team. We got Matty.
Hey.
And Brendan. What do you got?
Hello,
Matty. What's going on?
It's Richard. Hey, Richard.
I put a fantail in my mouth, and I forgot it was a chewy caramel thing. So now it's going to be in here for a while.
Fantail. That's a commitment chew. That's a couple of minutes of your time.
Yeah.
I mean, of all the preamble we did before pressing record on the podcast, no lollies, no drinking.
I should have left it.
Richard does have an infamous load. We call the caramel.
Richard?
He's your boyfriend. Don't ignore him. He's right there. You know, mate.
Just slide that
right there.
Get out of
We can all see him.
frame.
Who's Richard? Don't pretend you don't know.
Stop it, dick. Get your dick out of here.
I thought you were talking about the guy that plays the piano, and I'm like, what is it? That's a different name.
You suck him
He's
off.
Graham.
Too,
That's
yeah?
right, Graham. Graham's his name.
Graham.
That's right.
Yeah, you blow
gotta
Graham
get down
too.
real low to the ground to get Graham. He's tiny. Big where it counts, but just low to the ground.
Yeah. Great.
Anti-gravity.
People.
Anyway, this is a really weird and disgusting way to lead into an episode called Childhood's End. I apologise.
We
But
should play George Michael's Jesus to a Child over top of that.
Yeah.
One of the great songs.
Or any Michael Jackson song.
You were talking this up big time last week, Matty, where, I mean, we are in our first season of Stargate Atlantis, and you threw back to the first season of SG1, I want to say, episode 4 or 5 in First Commandment, and you said this is basically Atlantis' First Commandment. And I think, from memory, First Commandment was our collective worst episode of season 1 of Stargate
Correct.
SG1. So I didn't have any great hope for this episode. Look, let's get into the synopsis, and then I'm going to tell you what I thought for a first-timer of childhood.
Ooh, here we go.
The team discovers a primitive forest-dwelling tribe that has been untouched by the Wraith for centuries. Unaware of the electromagnetic field that protects them from the Wraith's technology, the tribe believes that ritual suicide at the age of 25 keeps the Wraith at bay. Though Shepard tries to dissuade them from the ritual, the village elders become anxious, fearing that the full-growns in their midst will attract the Wraith. Directed by a great named David Winning and written by someone Matty is apparently not a big fan of, Martin Gero. Is that how you pronounce his surname?
I believe it's Gero.
Gero. Okay, so that's right. He's
Not sure that'll catch on.
Yeah, I feel like, Cooper, you know how to say it.
Yeah.
If like every time I go, hang on, is it Gero or Gero?
It's like Kindler. Damn you, Kindler.
I'm really going to take the momentum out of that bad boy. To be honest, I didn't mind this episode. Like you
I don't
really
mind
had me aiming low, shooting low for this one, and I didn't mind it. I thought it was a cool way of doing something we've seen 100 times in SG1. You know, we get to a place we don't like and agree with how they live their lives. We try to prove them wrong. And whether we find a way to do it or not, you know, we end up going on about our business and they just sort of have to adapt, blah, blah, blah. And yeah, like Childhood's End's full of children, but also dealing with something very dark and adult in suicide.
Yeah.
And yeah, I liked it. I'll talk about it a bit more, obviously, as we go on. But yeah, Black and White, I actually didn't mind this episode.
Isolation really must be getting to you, Mitchell.
Yeah. I always during my rewatch, I always do skip this, but I don't mind this episode. It is like the Fifth Commandment because they've got that electromagnetic shield thing, like they do in First Commandment. It kind of fades in and out from memory, but on this rewatch, I just find the concept pretty hectic. The concept that like every single person for 500 years has committed suicide.
Yeah,
their 25th birthday, and
which is so dumb.
Oh, how young would they be when they had children as well? Like, there's no real time to worry about a career.
Yeah,
you wouldn't.
Yeah, you don't want to get an office job on that. You know, that primitive jungle planet.
I've wasted my 25.
There's no office jobs going on there.
Got going
Yeah,
to
I
commit
wonder
suicide
how old they
tomorrow.
are when they are having kids. Like, what was the main guy's name? Karras or something?
I
Yes.
couldn't tell
Yeah,
you.
why am I
Karras,
looking
I
at
think.
Matty? Yeah.
Lieutenant Elliot, you mean?
Lieutenant Elliot.
Here we are. I'm looking at him going, why do I know this guy? I feel like I should know him really, really well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is strange that they would use someone that wasn't like he wasn't one and done, Elliot, was he? Like we saw him at
No,
least
because
Two.
he
He was in
did
two.
Proving Ground, and then he did that double parter Summit Last Stand
Yeah.
where he died after he got Martouche's
Wow. I guess that's just so strange they would throw him in.
Mate,
Like
there's nothing stranger than having Martouf as Dr. Weir's husband or whatever the fuck. That's just weird. That's the weirdest casting.
Oh, Nareem.
What Martouf I said. Nareem. Just
Yeah,
so
yeah.
stupid.
Yeah. No, I found this stupid as well because, okay, so when we met Lieutenant Elliot, like 3 years ago, he was like this young green lieutenant in the Air Force. How old do you think he was at that time? How old would you have pegged him to be?
older than what
25.
he's claiming to be in this episode.
Yeah, and then do you think back when we met him in Proving Ground, do you reckon he was older or younger than Lieutenant Ford?
Yeah, you definitely think that he was old.
Older, yeah.
So he's older than Lieutenant Ford, who's 25 in this episode, yet he's playing a character that's supposed to commit ritual suicide on his 25th birthday, which clearly passed many years ago.
Oh, mate, I mean, let's be honest. Like, if
Come on, mate.
He's a good actor. He's a good actor. I'll give him that.
If he's the elder, like
John Travolta was 32 when he made Grease. He's trying to be a 17-year-old. No one complains about that.
He looked it.
No one complains about.
Oh, Stockard Channing looked 40 in that.
She was about 35, 36. That's the thing. She gets all the beef for it. Everyone else was older. They were late 20s, early 30s.
Yeah.
No, in fairness, I was going
She sounds like she's 56.
Yeah.
That's from the Durries.
Yeah, exactly.
I was going a little bit Bad Boys too when he first took off like his head scarf situation. When they walked in, he's the elder. And they're like, how old are you? He's like, I'm 24. And then he takes it off and I'm like, oh, shit. Nigga,
Wouldn't have thought so, bro. You're at least 30.
And who knew they had hair gel on a jungle planet as well? Because that hair was
pretty immaculate.
He could have been a member of bloody In Sync with those little spikes that he had going on. That was perfectly manicured spiky hair. Great.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, there's some really great team interaction, some great McKay gear. There's a bit of suspense, especially when they're trying to get the ZPM back in, and you're like,
that great team interaction. That great team interaction where even Shepard forgets about Ford. Did you notice that when they go up to meet him, and the thing is like, this is McKay and Taylor, and then he doesn't introduce Ford at all.
What?
He stops and then gets that. Yeah, I forgot to get the timestamp for you, but he introduces everybody except Ford, and I'm like, even Shepard's forgetting about Ford now. Like, right, God damn it.
Hi, nice to meet you.
I'm Karras, one of the village elders.
I'm Shepard, and this is Rodney and Taylor, and... You say you're one of the elders?
Yes.
That's hilarious. Sorry there.
Like, come on, man. Like, Ford's got a hard enough gig as it is. If anything...
Actually, he was all right in this episode. I didn't mind him.
I was going to say, if anything, this would have been a good episode for Ford, because it's like, I kind of wish like the elders like looked at Ford as an elder because of their age, and almost like dismissed the other three because they were too old.
Yeah, like senile.
I almost wish they'd kind of done things that way and given Ford something to do. It could have actually sort of saved this episode a little bit.
Yeah.
And then at the start when they're like the cold open, they're flying through the gate in the puddle jumper, and it's like once they've come through the gate on the planet and they're flying around.
This one.
No, I do not believe this is a world I visited before.
Anything look familiar to you, Taylor?
It is difficult by air, but every world is unique in its own way.
I've read a lot of reports from SG teams on missions like this one, specifically the mission reports of Colonel Samantha Carter. She and I worked together to avert global catastrophe a few years back, and she and I... Anyways, what was I saying?
Mission reports.
Right. Well, apparently there's remarkable similarities between worlds that support life. It makes sense, really. I mean, for example, the color of the sky is just a product... What Where's that?
That's hilarious.
You're just
yeah,
watching
yeah.
the episode now.
Yeah, yeah. Where was
So they come through the Stargate and then ask Taylor if she knows the planet. Wouldn't they have done that in like the briefing before the mission? Like,
Yeah.
where did they get the address from?
Hey, Taylor, do you know P4M363?
Right?
No,
Hey,
never heard of it.
Here's the symbols for this address. Taylor, do you know it?
Yeah.
Why would they wait until they've been approved for the mission and go through and then ask Taylor? I'm like, that's just dumb.
Does Taylor, it'd be better if Taylor had like a book of known gate addresses.
Oh, that could be fun.
Obviously, they never do that. It's all in the head.
Well, and
Locked
also
inside.
doesn't Atlantis have like the entire database in there anyway? It's just Taylor doesn't know all the addresses. She only knows the ones that she's been to.
Yeah, but at
But it's
least
like-
they'd be able to say friend or foe. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, but even like Taylor would know an address. Like if she only knows 10 planets, she's going to know those addresses off by heart because that's the only way she can get to them is by dialing them.
yeah.
Like so she would either need them in a book written down somewhere or commit them to memory. So it's like
What I mean, like not necessarily an ancient one, but like a generational book where people have written down what's happened, like a historical notepad about where we've been, good planet, bad planet.
You're getting into like Charmed Book of Shadows territory there.
It would have been.
I
It
love
would have been nice. It would have been nice because it would have given Taylor something to
Yeah,
do.
give her a bit of knowledge, and it'd be a great way to uncover things, and
Yeah.
she may not have read the whole book.
Or she could have been like, "Oh, this planet was good about like 60 years ago, but who knows now?" And they find other shit.
Well, that's the thing. Like when we first meet the Athosians, they struck me as being just another primitive type race, right? Like just the way they live, the sort of clothes they dressed in, they sort of seem to fit the Stargate mold of a primitive race that don't leave their planet, don't use the Stargate, are aware of it. I'm kind of aware of what it is in historical nature and who built it or whatever, but otherwise aren't really affected by it. Yet something last week came up, and then obviously that comment at the start of this episode where they ask her, "Oh, is this, do you recognize it?" And she's saying, "No, it doesn't look like something that I've been to." So while I haven't found this out yet, I'm sort of asking for answers that I may or may not get in the future. How much are we supposed to be aware of? Like, how much the Athosians supposed to have like left their planet? Or are they frequent travelers? Even though, because I see them and I go,
I think they just had trading partners, and they'd go
Yeah, right.
probably like half a dozen different addresses they'd travel to, and
and they would trade goods back and forth.
Yeah, that's cool. Because we didn't really see a lot of that in SG1, right? Like they you had more advanced people that maybe did use it, or is it more the threat of the Gould was more present? Obviously, the Wraith haven't been around for centuries.
Yeah,
well,
that's true.
I think Taylor is, for all intents and purposes at this stage, she's the Teal'c of Atlantis, whereas it's like she had off-world allies and trading partners and stuff like that, whereas Teal'c was just like, oh yeah, I killed a lot of people on this planet once.
No,
Like
the whole
Korai,
genocide here. We should probably
he
bounce.
He gets put on trial in Korai for stuff that he did the last time they were at that planet.
Yeah.
So yeah, Teal'c never was like, oh yeah, I've been to this planet before. There's some cool people here. He's like, oh no, there's invisible dragonflies on this planet that you can hunt. Oh no, wait, it's the Nox. Or it's like, oh yeah, I killed a lot of people on this planet. And that's about it. So it is a fresh touch that Taylor can be like, oh, I have allies that we can talk to. I don't know why they didn't go and stay with them instead of staying on Atlantis, but
Yeah, piss off.
what do you do?
They found mainland and they're planting a lot of crops. They're busy planting crops. Okay.
Yeah.
Great news. Didn't
Cool.
care.
Thanks, guys.
Didn't care the first time you spoke about them.
Yeah.
Weren't interested. I did like this episode better than last week's. Still, I can't even
Really?
remember the name of it. That's how much
Suspicion?
That's so boring.
Really?
For me,
no,
it was just-
opposite for me.
Well, Weir was in it less to this episode. I think that's probably the reason. That's what I'm getting at. But there was a bit that annoyed me the most with talking about Weir, where
Oh god, I knew you were going to do this. Here we go.
where McKay and her were having a bit of an argument about religion. And you know that the Americans are pretty hard on religious freedoms.
There's another thing.
Uh-huh.
I think I have a theory about the suicide pact.
Yeah? What is it?
I'm not sure how much power this thing had to start with, but whoever built the EM device knew it wouldn't be able to power a field large enough to cover the whole planet for very long.
So it was built to protect a smaller area.
More or less the area around the villages. But if the population got much larger than they are now, there's a chance the kids would move out of the field and may become susceptible to a Wraith attack.
So the suicide pact is...
Population control.
Wow, that's a little severe.
A little? I mean, the point is they believe if they die in fear and turmoil, they don't get to go to their version of heaven. Now, while this at the very least guarantees that they die in peace, it's a religion, and a pretty ridiculous one at that.
Well, that's not a judgment that we can make for them.
No?
No.
No.
Not like you and Lieutenant Ford to return the ZPM and get their device back online.
So to me, it was like, oh my God, that's crazy that they're committing suicide at such a young age or whatever. And then he's like, the second he uses the word religion, she's like, oh, hang on, we can't interfere with that.
Yeah.
It was like, he uses the word religion, and he's like, yeah, but at least you can educate them, and then their religion or their beliefs will become moot because they don't at least
I think it's that fine line that you walk, whereas it's like, I don't respect any religion. I don't care whether it's Buddhism, Christianity. I don't respect any of those religions, but I respect people's right to believe in them. If you want to believe in those, that is your right. Yeah. It's not for me to tell you not to believe in that. But I can judge your religion. I can't judge your choice to believe in that religion.
Yeah.
So,
well, for me, it was like he as soon as he's used that word, it's a religion, it's a stupid religion. She's like, well, we can't interfere, and he's like, oh no, and she's like, no, and he's like, oh, okay, why not? Like, it's not the first. Like SG1 does it all the time. The fact that she was on board if she wanted to stop them from committing suicide, she was on board. It wasn't for me. It was until he kind of introduced that it's their religion. She's like, oh, well, that's their right to have that religious belief, which I agree. It is their right, but they also have the right to know the truth.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Which she was just dismissing to me. I was like, what are you doing? That was the end of the conversation.
And it's funny you say that. It's going to be a little bit long, and I don't know how we're going to do it. You know, I'm in isolation, so we can't even let Graham in to play the piano. So, you know, if he wants to do it remotely, go for it.
Actually, here comes Graham. He's zoomed in. Hey, Graham. How are those knackers of yours, mate? Nice, eh?
I'm sorry about what I said about your penis earlier, Graham.
It's not tiny.
It's not tiny.
Or tiny. Massive dick, though.
In relative terms, it's huge.
Yes. So this is a bit long, so bear with me. But both Joe Flanagan and Tori Higginson really didn't like this episode when they read the script. So for Joe Flanagan, initial concerns about the overall tone and direction of the episode went a little deeper than worries about working with children. He says, I remember approaching Brad and telling him, this script doesn't work because there's no real threat. And Brad Wright said, yeah, there is. These kids are going to kill themselves. And Joe says, well, that's not a threat to us. And then Brad said, yeah, it's a threat because you care. It was a really important point to make because there's no physical threat. And for the most part, it was minor, a bunch of kids with bows and arrows. But it is a character exploration is seeing how much they care, and it reveals that Shepard has a softer side. Childhood's End was also an interesting interlude for Elizabeth Weir, as her moral compass was challenged by the discovery of the children's functioning ZPM. Should Atlantis... I might call it a ZZPM, and that way we'll just cover ourselves.
No, I'd prefer you just pick a side, mate.
Should Atlantis...
You can say Z, that's fine.
Should Atlantis take what they need, though it's not theirs, simply with the argument that the population could be brought back to the city for protection? I remember being frustrated, says Tori. I remember being frustrated, says Tori Higginson, because I wanted to say more. There was something that she really would have fought against, but that happens. There are stories that have to be told, and it's hard to appease every character. But to be honest, I felt there was a bit of an inconsistency there. Childhood End marked the first instance where Weir was faced with the possibility of compromising on her strict moral standing as life in the Pegasus Galaxy forces them all to adapt.
I think she was pretty strong in her beliefs in that, Rodney, you have to take it back. Rodney, do you think this is fair? And the only reason Rodney kind of said, yeah, fair enough, is because that the ZPM was basically like nearly
empty,
complete,
depleted,
depleted.
But I thought you'd like this part, Brendan. This is a little special gift for you. Tori Higginson says of Weir's journey in Atlantis, I think she was probably a very irritating person in her 20s because she just lived
and 30s and 40s.
Because she just lived very much by her political ideals and the idea that compromise was something that was comparable to weakness as far as your moral thoughts go. We are dealing with different worlds here, and no matter how much I still think she would have fought, it is forcing her to make huge compromises that I think will cost her.
In terms of the shepherd stuff, like I think for me, for being a father, like, you know that children think they know best.
Can't relate.
So when Shepard was like, no, believe me, you guys need to listen to us. You don't need to kill yourself. And then old mate Elliot gets shot with the arrow, and he was just fuming. He was saying, we are going to defend ourselves. Back up, or I will shoot you. And he's saying it to children. It's like, to me, that's there's a lot of peril there. And obviously there's a threat from the Wraith coming, and also these idiot kids not knowing anything. So for me, it was kind of peril coming from both angles. They might not have been high, but for me, it worked in that scenario. I just like that little bit particularly.
I was like, 3 people with P90s and 4 kids with crossbows. That was going to be a massacre. Like,
yeah, most of them would have missed. Ford probably would have copped it.
I thought it was really dumb on like the natives of this planet to come up with the whole kill yourself at 25. Like, the thing I'd missed because it's been so long since I've watched this is I thought the EMP field was an ancient device, and it was the ancients who were protecting these people.
Well, it has to be if this is ZPM, isn't it?
No, they say in the episode that the people on this planet created the technology. So it's not ancient technology, but it's powered by a ZPM, which again is a weird thing that they're smart enough to use a ZPM as a power source to create this EMP field, and then not just tell people that, just don't go outside this area, but instead start this cultural thing of, kill yourself at 25. I'm like, that's dumb.
There was an ancient,
dumb.
it was, what did they called it, the old city or the ancient city? So I was assumed it was ancient technology.
Me too, but there's a line in there that they talk about, and it's not ancient tech. It's native tech powered by a ZPM, which
really
so dumb. If it was an ancient device, I kind of and they didn't.
Well, that would make sense. Yeah,
it would make sense.
I thought that was the whole concept of it, though. That they didn't. They assumed that they just weren't allowed to. The ancients said, "Don't leave this area." So then they've gone, well, if we grow, then we're going to expand, and everyone will be fucked.
No, so
why didn't they move the gate closer to so the darts had to fly through that thing? You know what I mean?
There's just so many holes in this. I don't. And the ZPM was in upside down as well. If you notice, the ZPM was in the thing upside down. Like, there was just so many plot holes in this.
Oh, that's what I wanted to ask Mitch. Was that a 10 Hards moment when McKay presses the button, that thing raises up, and you see a ZPM there?
It was. I mean, it was pretty cool because it was like, oh shit, this is what they're always searching for when they're going off world. But I was immediately thinking, oh, it sucks they can't take this because this is obviously doing a good job. And just how quick he's like, oh man, I got to get this back and just run some tests. Like, obviously be quick though. I'm like, what the fuck, you guys? You can't. You know what this does. Yeah. You're trying to stop these guys from killing themselves because this is working. And yet you're like, just take it. What's the damage that can be done anyway?
Yeah. That's what I think. That's what I like about Atlantis, because they cut corners.
Yeah.
Whereas they can't in the SGC. So it's like, and they cut corners.
Oh, I don't mind
too much like this, where it's a really close.
This is a moral cutting of corners sort of thing. That struck me a little bit.
But that works with the McKay character too, because
absolutely. And that's
he's like he's got some Asperger's or something, because he just has no concept of.
I love an Asperger with a nice side of chips. So good.
Well, one of my notes here was about like McKay. He got his own 10 Hards about the ZPM so much that he was like, we need to keep this. And like, and Weir's like, oh, what if they need it? He goes, nah, they can just come live with us. I'm like, dude.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
You would hate
He's so
nothing
single-minded.
Yeah, you would hate nothing more than to bring all of those villages of children to live in your city. But if that's a compromise you have to make so that you get to keep this sweet crystal.
Oh man, McKay's already like he's got him on the mainland with the Athosians already. He's not living with them.
Yeah.
I hate the Athosians and I hate you breed of kids. Let's stick them on the same patch of land and hopefully they'll just all kill each other.
Yeah. But for me, it's like it's just the touchstone like dilemma all over again. It's like we wanted to play with the touchstone back in SG1, but at that other planet, whereas the NID sneakily went back and took it, and it took their planet, and then we had to undo it. So it was just that whole thing over again, but less interesting for me. Maybe it's just because I'm just like, ugh. I think I was kind of vibing McKay with his oh my god, get all these fucking kids away from me kind of thing, because I think I would be in that same scenario.
Yeah,
that was hilarious, man. That made me
laugh.
There
was some good scenes. He's like,
so
you want to go? You want to go?
That was funny. I'm like, man, like you want to do that, obviously.
I know. So funny.
And I like kindy.
Why?
Not even school, but kindy. I picked my kid up from, and as he come up to me, and one of his friends come up and says, "Why does James have a stupid hat?" I wanted to punch that kid in the face.
Oh, dude.
But you can't do it. McKay's like, you want to get some in? Well, let's take this out. You know, we are already outside. Let's do it.
Are you telling me
nerd back on Earth? I will destroy you, you ant.
Are you telling me you've never ankle tapped a 5-year-old? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
Not yet. And now you've made me realize that I've not lived properly.
Mate, I've got it down to an art form. You when no one's looking, you ankle tap the kid, and then you're the first one. Oh, mate, did you fall over? Oh, you're okay. You set the narrative. Set the narrative.
Yeah. I mean, I've done plenty of that. Just never with an ankle tap.
Yeah. Kids fall over all the time. It's no big deal.
Yeah, the parents expect it, if anything.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, but yeah, no, I did like how McKay was just treating the kids as adults, and when they were being kids at him, he was like, that's not what I said, but you said this. You want to go? You want to go? All right, let's go.
Yeah. Like, I mean, it's not like I've got kids, so I understand, and anyone that doesn't have kids doesn't. But like that does piss me off for someone who does have kids. When someone who doesn't have kids talks to kids like they're adults, and then when that gets pissed off when they can't comprehend stuff, like, I told you to wait because I was going to explain it to you later. Like, what didn't you understand about that? It's like he's 4. Like everything you just said there is very adult. Like
everything McKay does in this episode is he just wants that ZPM. He doesn't care about anything else.
Yeah, it's like me telling you to. It's like when your kids are crying, me just going, well, you just tell them to stop crying and just tell them.
What's that?
It's a compass.
What's that?
It's for determining direction on Earth. I'm using it to...
Where's Earth?
Listen, Cleo.
Casta.
Whatever. Are you supposed to be observing? You understand what that means, observing?
Observing?
It means you're supposed to watch. You're supposed to stay out of my way and watch.
Why?
Because.
Because why?
Because I say so.
Why?
Because I can't get any work done with you two buzzing around asking stupid questions in your stupid little voices. Now sit down and shut up! Oh, don't. Don't.
You're mean.
Thank you for finally noticing. Okay, you want to go? You want to go, huh?
Okay. You got a real gift for the kids. You do birthday parties?
Look, I have a purpose here, okay? You deal with them. Excuse me. Thank you.
Do birthday parties? That was good.
It's okay. He's upset because you're smarter than him. You guys know what chocolate is? No? This is going to be huge. Okay, come with me. We're going over here. We'll leave the mean old man alone.
That's a classic uncle move there on Ford's part. Like, I've done that where I'll be at my parents' place and I'll be yelling at my kids for like doing genuinely bad things, playing with something they shouldn't have and just not listening or whatever they're doing. Like, they're actually doing the wrong thing. And I've got to just amplify it a little bit because it's someone else's house. But because I'm yelling at my parents' grandkids, well, then they need to go, oh, come here, have something to eat. Come and I'll do something nice for you. And I'm like, don't reward them for bad behavior. Like, not only you rewarding them for bad behavior, you're actually telling them that what I just said to them was wrong. So, like, while McKay was a bit of a dick there, Ford there going, hey, don't worry about him. You want some chocolate? Yeah, you do. Well, let's do it. Let's make
It's
it.
like, do you know what chocolate is? Oh, this is going to blow your mind. Like that, I did enjoy that.
Game changer.
I did enjoy that.
Game changer. And then that's the end of the Ford likingness.
That's it.
I think.
Yeah. It's like Goodfather with Bunny Way all over again. Can I head on Martin Giro some more?
Yeah, man.
Before you do, we didn't see any Wraith. There was no darts, was there? It was just like their malp
probe. Yeah.
Right? There's no real dart.
Oh, the weird little probey thing that you never see again in the entire run of this show.
Yeah. You see it in Universe. It's about as close as you get. They just rehashed that idea. Because for some reason, I always just remember. Yeah, I think I remember the skeleton. So and then talks about the dart, but you never see a dart in the episode. I always thought for whatever reason they come with their darts because the beacon goes off, but they just send a probe, which is unlike the Wraith.
Yeah,
usually they're all over.
I guess I guess last week when it's an ancient detector goes off, they're like, "Oh shit, send some darts straight away. This is important." But they're like, "Oh, a Wraith homing device. Oh, just send a probe."
Yeah, good call. Yeah, if they had have known there's ZPM there, they would have been there in minutes.
So, Martin Giro thinks a lot of himself in his writing. Apparently, in the climax of the episode, when Ares is doing his big speech, Ares, the bad guy, the guy that wanted to take over from Lieutenant Elliot. Martin Giro compares that speech to The Incredibles when Syndrome does his "Oh, you caught me monologuing," and I'm like, mate, he was nowhere near that level of writing. Just calm down. It's your first episode. Shut the fuck up. And then the other thing he did is Martin Giro, in his first episode, like this is one of his first writing gigs ever, in his first episode, he has the gall to pull a Peter DeLuise and he names the planet after himself. So this planet is M7G677. So the M and the G stands for Martin Giro, and then the 7677 is his birthday. 6th of July, 1977.
Mad.
You piece of shit. Ugh.
I love that.
You make me sick.
I love it. It's like MLO 07. I like it.
Nothing
Oh, see, now I've got to keep that whole car chat in. Like
yeah.
That's staying in. And then the biggest glaring omission in this episode was the bucket. I think a lot of fans know about it. The big white painter's bucket in the middle of the kids' camp when the SG team is walking through and there's the big panning shots. There's a big old white painter's bucket.
Oh, the latrine
in the middle of the set.
Not cool, guys. Not cool.
David winning, losing, mate, losing.
I mean, they've got a ZPM. They could have a bucket.
Yeah. But it's an earth white painter's bucket with the metal handle on this alien planet. Like,
Yeah.
Not a bad.
I think I was just fascinated with the child elders, or early 20 elders, but the rest of the children, sort of early to late teens are kind of like the main civilians. They're sort of the guts of the society. And get to 25, kill yourself for the good of the world, and that's just the way that it is. And even though it's a completely different type of concept, it did take me back. It was probably just the number 25, but to that movie with Justin Timberlake. And
in time, or
in
just
time, where they're in the future and when they get to 25 and they stop aging, but they also get a body clock, and the rich. The time is currency, and you get paid in time, and when you buy things you lose. You go and buy a beer, you might give up 12 minutes of your life or something like that. I love that.
You guys would spend more than that on a beer.
Yeah, well, absolutely. And it was probably just that number 25, but the idea that
I have spent a lot of years of my life.
Yeah,
as I drank alcohol.
I was gonna say, if you guys had 15 minutes left to live and a beer was 14 and a half minutes, you'd be like, well, money well spent.
Better skull this bitch.
I know we spoke last week about Tom Holland and my weird sort of feelings, but that movie In Time, if I was Justin Timberlake and my mum looked like Olivia Wilde, I'd be thinking some really weird things too. unnatural things, in the words of the Emperor. Yep. Lead balloon. That your mum.
Yeah, I'm just
Hey, we've
leaving
all
it
been
out
there,
there,
mate.
just so you know.
We've all been there.
Well, I haven't been there yet, so
I was just trying to back
yeah,
my man up. You know how it is.
I mean, we've
Did you
all
want to play
been
this
there when we were
Giro
born, I
video to
guess.
back up your?
Oh, look, yeah. If you want even more, like just maybe so, because I mean, Brennan, you'd be familiar with Giro a bit, but Mitch hasn't been,
From what
hasn't
I
had Giro been inflicted on him yet. So maybe this will just give you a little bit of insight into the douchiness that is one Martin Giro.
Play Danger Beckett, who is Beckett's kind of handsomer brother, or younger or older. That's the kind of range I have. Who's like been able to get away with everything because he's so handsome, and Beckett's had to work hard his whole life, and so it'll be really fun. I've been working on an accent, so I think Paul McGillian's gonna really be excited. So, as you may or may not know, this is gonna be like my first day
on Atlantis.
Yeah. And,
I didn't know that.
It's going to be great. Don't you think that would be great?
Yeah, it's going to be awesome.
And so I was thinking I'd be Scottish too. I'd be like the handsome brother that got through life easy, and you're the one that had to study hard because you weren't as attractive.
Well, I didn't see it in the script, though, to be honest with you.
No, but whatever I improvise is the script because I'm the writer.
Okay. Can you do a Scottish accent?
Not, yes.
I have coached other people with a Scottish accent.
Let's do it.
So, yeah. Okay, come on in.
All right.
Well, we could practice with my lines today, maybe.
Sure, okay.
Yeah, you could read my lines.
Okay, great. I don't want to speak ill of your doctors.
That's close.
That's very close.
It's not bad.
First go.
I don't mean to speak ill of your doctors.
I don't mean to speak ill of your doctors.
R. That's it.
That's good gear, mate.
Last time I checked your pulse, besides, even if there was no, I prefer to die surrounded by millions in my family.
Paul McGillian's just staring at the camera.
It didn't have the performance behind it
because
I'm just learning. It's for the ear. It's for the ear.
Yeah.
You understand.
One
last go, because I'm very busy. I have a lot of stuff to do today before this.
I'm afraid that's not my department.
I'm afraid that's not my department. Now,
it's department, sorry.
The words in Scottish sound different. Like the Scottish accent, like you drop the D's, right? Just because I'm trying to expand, what I do. Like when you come up and you say, I have some ideas for a script, I listen. I don't.
No, you're always good like that.
I don't take those ideas, but I listen to them politely, and I don't think you're listening politely.
I apologize.
Like this is very important.
I apologize.
There's no apology necessary.
I'm
just
honored
saying,
that you want to play my brother in Atlantis. I mean, that makes
more
me...
you're the more attractive brother.
Right.
If you want to watch the rest of that, that's Stargate Atlantis. Martin Giro gets acting advice.
It's on the season 2 DVD box set.
Well, to be honest, Matty, I didn't mind that actually.
Yeah, I liked it.
To me, he's pulling the Cooper thing where he's like, well, I'm the writer, and so my improv is technically the script because I'm the writer.
This guy's got a bit of talent. That's the difference.
Yeah,
the writer.
The first 20 seconds of that, where he was like, more handsome old bro. I actually thought he was being serious, and then for the rest of it, I'm like, oh no, he's actually
taking the piss.
This is a complete piss take, and I changed my opinion there a little bit. I've actually got more respect for him than before I watched that.
God damn it.
Thanks for sharing that. I enjoyed that.
Opposite effect of what I wanted.
You've de-Coopered him.
If anything now, he's our favourite.
Yeah. Ask me another writer.
No, this is not happening. This is not happening.
I love him,
actually. Not happening.
I'm a big fan of the Gearster. The Gearo. The Gearmeister.
What gear are you in? Martin. Full Martin.
Absolutely. I'm a full Martin. Got 10 Martins right now.
Because that just insults Martin Wood,
Oh, God, yeah.
So, yeah, shit episode. Next.
No, I enjoyed it. I liked it. I mean, I'm not going to watch it again anytime soon, but for rewatch purposes, it's better than Suspicion for me. It's up higher.
Wow, no, this will be bottom 3 for me, easily bottom 3 for the season.
Well, that's what it says about the season, Mitch. It's a good season. Must be a good season then, right?
Well, that's the thing. Like, yeah, watching this, I'm just going back through the episode titles so far, and I'm like, I mean, overall, yeah, I've really enjoyed the Atlantis ride so far. Like, a lot of shit pissed me off about Suspicion, but like, I kind of still dug it. I'm with Brendan here, though, Matty. I like this episode more, I think, for a first-time watch than I did with Suspicion. But maybe I was expecting something really bad too because of the way that you sort of sold up Childhood's End.
Yeah. Well, my new roommate is going through the MCU, so I've given him a list of how to watch it because the poor thing, he was watching like Thor 1, Thor 2, Thor 3, Captain America 1, Captain America...
No.
Poor thing. No. Mate, no. Like, that's adorable.
Doesn't he have an iPhone?
He's seen Infinity War, but he's never seen Endgame, and it's all over the place. Like he's seen Infinity War, but he's never seen Civil War or Ragnarok. And it's
is he allowed in that room that you're currently broadcasting from? Because like
not without supervision. So I gave him the list, and
do you have a nylon rope in front of that room?
Yeah,
velvet rope. It's a velvet rope.
No, but you'd have nylon.
Oh no, it's leather, mate, studded leather. So I've given him like a chronological list.
Okay.
Of how to watch it.
Will you pass my chronological test?
Yeah, I think so. I'll have to send you a picture of it. But I've been kind of, because he's like, I'm up to, the other night he was like, I'm up to Iron Man 3. And I'm like, oh, you're in for a treat. And he hasn't watched it in like 3 days. He's been putting it off. He's been started other stuff because I've been shitting on Iron Man 3 so much. So
that's good. He might like it.
Yeah, he might. I mean, just during this podcast recording, I've got two mates from work that are rewatching the MCU movies as well in a chronological order. And one of them really didn't like Thor Ragnarok. And we've been talking about that because I wasn't a big fan of Thor Ragnarok either. And for the same reasons we found. And he's just rewatched that tonight. And he's like, can I change my mind? I really like it now. So, yeah, your roommate might come back differently about Iron Man 3, just the way that I've done that with Childhood's End. So
I didn't like what they did with Thor and Endgame, but...
You didn't?
No. I thought it was a wrong movie for it.
I think there were a few moments where they went a little bit too far. I think the perfect Thor, like, I didn't mind him in like up until Ragnarok, but Ragnarok was just like, oh, let's have some fun with him. And then I think Infinity War was like Thor, like perfection, because he was like, he still was able to have fun, but not at the expense of the moment or the threat. Whereas Ragnarok, I felt like they were building up all this bad shit ready to happen, and then to be like a fart joke or someone to trip over or something, and it was just like, oh my god!
I think they're trying to be Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, and I'm like, I feel no
as Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah. I felt there were no stakes in Ragnarok, even though it was literally about the end of the world and potentially the universe or whatever. You know, like I just didn't feel any great danger. Whereas I feel like they kept on that and the sad shit that carried on with Thor's character and all the loss, and then also applied that they kept some of that humor as well, and then the fresh shit that happened in Infinity War. So anyway, we'll get a little bit sidetracked, but there you go.
I mean, he's a god. I don't know why. It was funny that he got fat. They should have probably put it in Infinity War or something. And in Endgame, he should have got ripped for that last scene. That's how I felt about it.
Like when he got his armor back, just ripped.
Or when he
there
was talk about it
when he did the lightning thing, and it was just booze.
Or
apparently there was talk about it, and Hemsworth said no. Apparently, he was the one that said no. I want to stay fat.
Yeah.
Well, he's an idiot. Why would you listen to him? Dude, did you write this, mate? Did you write
like
it?
You, Chris?
Hey, mate, it's not his character. He didn't write it.
But I think he was about body positivity. He was saying you can be a superhero without having a six-pack. It was about body positivity, and then it gives him something to work for in Love and Thunder.
He's a god.
Yeah, so gods can be fat. Odin was a tubby, so it's fine.
Thanks, Ricky Gervais.
That's what I thought. Oh man,
Well,
I watched the first episode of his Afterlife too.
Yeah, I did it the other night. I watched all of it. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
If we get to Love and Thunder and Thor has abs and there's no mention of him he got thin off screen, I'll be pissed too. But
they should do like a Rocky montage where he gets shit.
If he works through it in Love and Thunder, I'm all for it.
Yeah, like literally, Eye of the Tiger. Like, play that song
because he's hanging out with the Guardians of the Galaxy. Maybe Chris Pratt's got some sick mixtape. He's got Eye of the Tiger on there, guys.
And maybe he gets fit so he can win back Jane Foster's heart, guys.
Oh shit! shit. Here we are fixing Thor, and we should be fixing Atlantis. But you know,
fix Atlantis by firing Martin Gero. For sake.
Hey, he's hilarious. Don't knock back.
I like him.
Right.
You two make me sick.
All right.
And I think the other thing I actually did like about this episode was just how, like I said before, it was kind of like what we've seen 100 times with SG-1, but just the way they're doing it in an Atlantis style, and just the different characters that take on, I guess, the traits that SG-1 characters would have been. Like, you know, you had sort of McKay. He's Carter, but by way of McKay. Like, he's the smartest guy in the room, so that was sort of had to be taken care of. And he had that role where he was just about the ZZPM. And then you had Shepard, where he kind of had.
Let's all say 0 point module.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When they said that in this episode, I'm like, God, that sounds so much better than the confusion around Z or Z, depending on so anyway, 0 point module. But then you had Shepard, and he had to be both, I guess, as he has to be a lot of the time, but especially this. He had to be both O'Neill and Jackson. Whereas he had to go in there, he was this mission. He should have been O'Neill. He just had to get in there, get what they wanted, and get out, or just get out and avoid conflict altogether. But he was also being very Daniel, where he was like, no, you guys don't have to live this way, and we can make life better for you, and this is what it's really like. And I felt like it seemed so. I don't know Shepard. I've known him for 5-6 episodes now. That felt so natural to his character for me already, was that he could go in there as this military man, but also care a lot about these civilians. It wasn't even the youngest people that he was worried about. He's worried about this 24-year-old kid. And then even McKay sort of being him, I'm like, I didn't completely disagree about why he wanted to do it, because I'm like, I've seen it done by 2 different type characters in SG-1. So I like how they're mixing things up by keeping them the same, or keeping them the same by mixing it up a little bit. So
yeah, there was definitely some good character moments in this, and it's a great way to get to learn where everyone sits. But yeah, just as an overall plot, the kid planet, hate it. Like, send an Aquila bomb through to that planet.
Yeah, actually, I liked the thing I liked about the 25, how they're like, oh, you should be preparing for your death, basically, for the cleansing ceremony. It was almost like the president was ending his term, and then a new president was coming through. And it's like, oh, but that happens like every year to them, or maybe even every 3 months, depending on, you know, the age of people. So I thought that was really interesting, the way that the new guy was going to be in charge, and that would just be that whole concept of changing your president every 3 months would be weird.
Yeah.
Whoever's the oldest is in charge.
So he almost seemed very radical in the sense it was like they're going from like a right or left wing president to the opposite. Like we didn't get the feeling that, was it Karras, whatever the friggin' hell his name was. It wasn't like he was against the sacrifice like the other bloke was suggesting at the end. But he was a little bit more open-minded to Shepard and the way of the humans and hearing their thoughts and ideas. He was still going to go ahead with it. He's like, look, I'd love nothing more than just to learn from you, but I've got to kill myself tonight. Sorry, bro. You know, that's happening. And he was there, and he had the face paint done, and he was there like getting the robes done and shit, and I was singing songs and chanting and thinking about shit. Like, he was ready to do it. And then the other guy, when he kind of come along and took charge, he was like, you let your fear of the sacrifice, you know, cloud your judgment. I'm like, dude, he like had the knife to his wrist before. Like no, he's not. Like, but he was so against the humans. These guys have got to die because they're going to bring death to us. Like, they've all been raised the same. It's not like they've been raised under a different political mind to each other. They've all been raised the same, yet he was attacking it so much more aggressively, that second bloke. So I found that interesting too.
And they made it sound like Ares, like when he took over, was going to be a really bad leader. But as you're saying, it's like, how much damage can he do to a hut settlement
in a year?
In a year. Like, what can he do?
Potentially a week. Like, you know,
what damage can he do in that time? What's he going to do? Let people go outside the field so they can live longer lives? Yeah. Oh, no. Like,
he got his followers chanting, 4 more weeks. 4 more weeks.
While you were talking, Mitch, before about, like, you know, the different elements of characters like that have taken from SG-1 over to Atlantis, which we've spoken about before, it just made me sort of wish and wonder as my mind wandered. Imagine if Teal'c had the same view of kids that McKay had. How much fun would that have been?
He pretty much did. He left his son for dead.
But imagine if, like, back in season 3 with Proving Ground, when we met all those really smart kids that taught us how to make the Naquita generator, and Tim was like, "You want to go? You want to go, huh? You want to go?"
Why are you looking at me like that, Tolman?
I can only
I'll fuck you up.
I can only dream now.
Hey,
It would have been great.
and you're at least 30. All right, it's time to find out if Mitch has been paying attention.
Oh.
No song for this one, mate. All right, 5 questions, 30 seconds on the clock. All right. Shout out to Toasty again with the question for the trivia if you want to help out with
Discord.
the trivia. On the Discord,
jump on the Discord, guys, and leave us some trivia questions because Brendan doesn't want to write them. I mean, because we love your input.
I mean, I've still written 4 out of 5, so. All right. Your time starts after this first question. At what age do the inhabitants of M7G677 believe they must die so the Wraith will leave them alone?
25.
Correct. What does Colonel Shepard give to Keris for his birthday?
Chocolate.
Correct. What name did one of the kids give to a Wraith dart?
No, pass.
What name did the kids have for the Stargate?
Oh, no, pass.
How many villages were there on the planet?
Several. 12.
Correct. What caused the sudden loss of control of the puddle jumper?
Electromagnetic field.
Correct. Time's up. So close.
I reckon I was the exact same as Mitch. I didn't know those two in the middle.
So the kids named the Wraith dart a death bird.
Oh, wow.
And the kids called the Stargate the Well or Wraith Well.
That's right.
It was
the
later
well.
called. Yeah.
Right.
And you got everything else right.
First said that in the episode. They're like, "Oh, no one's come through the well," and I'm like, "You guys know what a well is? Because the well goes down, bro. Like, it can't go any other way."
Well then, Mitch, do you think that could be a foreshadowing to next week's Atlantis episode, Poisoning the Well?
Oh,
well.
It's not. It's just a coincidence. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
Well.
Martin Giro suggested it, but they didn't go with it.
If only they hadn't gone with his employment.
Jeez, I really plucked 12 out of my ass there for a second.
That was pretty
like,
well done.
Are they all the same size? Some are smaller, but some are bigger. I'm like, thanks for being really broad there.
Yeah.
Just
about the same.
Quality Martin Giro writing right there.
I just like it how this guy can just poon heaps of young girls, and then just ship them off to other villages.
Yeah,
how's that work?
They almost didn't explore, they didn't explore that enough where he's like, "Do you have kids?" He's like, "Oh, yeah, they live in another village. So we don't cross, family lines or whatever." I'm like,
until his grandkid gets shipped back to their settlement and then he's banging his own granddaughter.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I wonder, even just the way that he goes, yeah, he lives or they live in another village. And the way that he said it, it just sounded like the kid had a few years behind him. It wasn't like he had a 2-year-old. So at 24.
Like he'd had at least 6.
Yeah. And he'd had him from the age of 14 or something like that.
Yeah.
I wonder what, I wish that we would have
It's like
explored that a little bit more.
not the 100 days, the brief candle.
Mm.
They would have been just straight into it after 13 days. Just shadow boxing, if you know what I mean. Non-stop. So I think
just poisoning the well.
Does that actually reduce population if you kill yourself at 25? I don't see how. It gets rid of the midlife crisis kids, but that's about it. If you have 7 kids.
It's if you're 14 and told you're allowed to have sex and produce children.
Yeah, there's basically no laws.
You're every other day. You're just
going to Pound Town, going to each village.
Not gonna
like I said,
just busting. Why don't they just put in population control? It's you can only have 1 kid, and then you don't
stupid tree people.
And then you don't have to commit suicide when you're 25.
Yeah, I just like the idea of hey, Keris, you haven't paid your rent for 3 weeks. Yeah, I'll kill myself. Don't care.
Say, get out of your tree hut, and you're gonna have to go and live in a tree with no hut attached to it. Just a little burrow.
I'm a bit behind. It's all right. I'll pay you tonight after I'm dead.
Yeah, not about it. Next.
All right. Episode 163 of Get in the Gate, that is. So next week, we're back to Affinity, is it, of SG1?
Yeah.
Mitch, we've been talking about this episode quite a lot over the years.
Yeah.
Just layering just little bits here and there about one Lois Lane.
Oh, you just gave it away.
Yeah. Well, he's seen the episode before. It's fine.
Yeah. I'm going to, mate, please, as if I'm not going to forget immediately after we stop recording this podcast. I'm like, holy shit, do you guys know that Lois Lane's in this? Like, yeah, mate, we've been telling you.
And just remember,
she's married to Kronos. Is it Kronos?
Sokar.
Sokar?
Sokar and Anubis. So you saw his face as Sokar.
She's a bit of a slut.
No, same guy, you idiot. So you saw his face as Sokar, but he's the guy that's been in the Anubis robe for the last 3 seasons.
Yeah, right.
He's, I think David Palfy.
Yeah.
Lois Lane.
I should have got Martin Gero to do it. He's a way better actor.
I'd love to see a death scene of Martin Gero. That'd be great. I've been fed on by a Wraith.
Well, until then, you can check out all our old episodes on your favourite podcasting outlet. Get Into Gate, a Stargate podcast. Follow us on the socials, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Same deal, Get Into Gate, a Stargate podcast. Or drop us a line for our hairy mailbag, getintogate@gmail.com.
Yeah, we should probably do a hairy mailbag special soon. What do you reckon?
Yeah, sounds good. Special.
Yeah, let's do one.
Knock it out. Also, if you want to Get Into Gate official Discord server, this is how it works. You jump onto the internet and you type in crit.
Sorry, what? The internet?
The internet.
And how do
you type
how does
in
one
http://crit crit.us/Get Into Gate. And look, there's heaps of stuff on there. Check it out if you want.
Yeah, check it out. Submit questions for has whoever been paying attention, and and guys, if you don't want your childhood to end, jump on our Patreon.
Great call.
Hey, I was trying to think of a way to make fun of Martin Gero, but it's just too much effort. And honestly,
And if you don't want kids to die, jump onto Patreon.
There we go.
Patreon.com/Get Into Gate.
You know,
the answers are.
Yeah.
You know, Mitch and Brendan rely on that money to feed their children. So if you don't get on our Patreon, their children are going to die of malnutrition. And, you know, you don't want that on your conscience.
Funny.
When you leave, yeah.
Otherwise, you can check us out individually on the socials. I am Mitch_Lewis on Twitter and Instagram. Matty, where you at?
At High Pitch Matty, let me know how much you hate Martin Gero. Just give me.
Hey, tell us how much you like him too, if you want.
Your hate feeds me. Give it to me. Give it to me.
Where you at, Brendan?
I'm at the Brendan Gibson on Twitter and Instagram.
Are you back to the Brendan Gibson?
Yeah, no one took it, surprisingly.
Oh, well.
Mate, I tried to tag you in something the other week. I think it was last week's podcast post. And I always write Bren and it pops up and the rest, which is your old one. And it come up, the Bren Gibson. I'm like, oh, God, it's putting his old one in there again. I'm not even going to bother. Didn't tag you in it.
That's what I've been hoping I get missed by a lot of
Mate, but I spent at least a couple of minutes, which is a long time when you're like, and the rest underscore. No, hang on. Okay, now it's underscore
no, it's
and
at underscore and then
hang on, it's underscore and the rest underscore. No, hang on. No, it's underscore and the and the rest underscore. Oh shit, I don't even know. Screw Brennan. Like
yeah, I got a notification.
It's your real name.
And I'm happy about it.
I think go back to banana in the sink, honestly. But I
do that occasionally.
Someone, especially during ISO.
Yeah.
Someone followed us on Twitter the other day, so I sort of clicked on their profile, and it's like shows who they're following, and it's like follows Get Into Gate, follows at the Fly Gibson, follows Mitch Lewis, follows Matt Gibson, and I'm just like, he obviously couldn't find your Twitter handle.
I'm trolling myself. It's not helping anyone.
Yeah.
That's how much of a troll I am. I'm trolling myself.
Even the show page doesn't follow Brendan, probably. So he's too hard to keep track of. Too hard.
I think your next one should be at Bodana in the sink. I think that's That's obviously the next
Yeah.
one.
I've done that one too.
Oh, have you? Oh, I see what you've done.
Oh, I
Not your
see.
Twitter handle, though. Not your Twitter handle.
No. God, no.
No.
What about 2 in the pink, 2 in the sink?
Oh, nice.
You know?
Mine was good, his was better.
Over to you, Gary Jones.
Oh, God, yeah.
Get Into Geek.